As previously mentioned, positioning plays a crucial role in establishing a brand's competitive edge in the market. This is encapsulated in a single document known as a positioning statement. Essentially, positioning refers to the way that a brand is perceived in the mind of the consumer. It's the unique place that the brand occupies in the market, and it's what sets it apart from its competitors. Positioning is not just about the product or service itself, but it also includes how the brand is marketed and how it interacts with its stakeholders. A positioning statement, then, is a document that outlines how individuals involved in the development of the brand would interact with stakeholders like customers, suppliers, vendors, and even research and development teams within the company. It's an internal document that codifies the brand's positioning, and it's used to guide all marketing and communication efforts going forward. Developing a strong positioning statement requires extensive effort and time commitment. This process entails conducting thorough marketing research with consumers, conducting a comprehensive evaluation of the market and its potential to identify the most favorable opportunity for a brand, and conducting a detailed analysis of the competition. You cannot position a product for competitive advantage without knowing where your competition is positioned. The positioning statement is a tangible outcome of this entire process. So what are the key elements of a good positioning statement? A good positioning statement should include the target market, brand name, competitive frame, single most important claim, and reasons to believe. Let's start with the target market. This is a particular group or segment of consumers to whom the product or service is aimed. It's important to be as specific as possible when defining the target market, as this will help ensure that your marketing tactics are aimed at exactly the right group. Trying to be all things to all people is a recipe for failure when it comes to branding. In describing your target, you can include demographic and psychographic descriptors. For example, let's say we're developing a brand of athletic shoes. Our target market might be men and women between the ages of 18 and 35 who are interested in fitness and sports, and who value both style and performance in their footwear. Next, we have the brand name. This is where you would insert the name of your product or service. However, you could also write a positioning statement for a firm or even a country, as we saw in the example of Trinidad and Tobago targeted tourists. The framework remains the same, regardless of what you're positioning. The competitive frame is the market or context in which you choose to position your brand. This is the market or set of competitors that defines the space in the market where your brand competes. Positioning is always relative to other brands against whom you compete. In the consumer's mind, think of it. Is Uber competing with other tech firms or with taxi cabs? Is Gatorade competing against all drinks, or just drinks related to exercise or fitness? The competitive frame is very important, as it determines your current and potential future competitors. If you define your competitive frame too broadly, your product will lack relevance to your customers. If you define it too narrowly, you miss competitors and become vulnerable to other brands. This also determines where your product is placed on grocery store shelves, and which products the consumer will compare to yours when contemplating a purchase. Next, we have the single most important claim. This is the benefit that is truly unique to your business and gives you an advantage over your competitors. This is often called the unique selling proposition. Your single most important claim should be relevant, resonant, and realistic. It could be a functional benefit, what the brand does for the consumer, or an emotional benefit, how the brand makes the consumer feel. Personally, I prefer using an emotional benefit as the basis for positioning. As Maya Angelou once said, someone may forget how you look, they may forget what you said, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel. Research in neuroscience actually supports this statement, as memories linked to emotion last longer and are recalled more quickly. So, by using an emotional benefit as the basis for your single most important claim, you're more likely to create a lasting impression on your target market. Next, we have the single most important claim. This is the benefit that is truly unique to your business and gives you an advantage over your competitors. This is often called the unique selling proposition. Your single most important claim should be relevant, resonant, and realistic. It could be a functional benefit, what the brand does for the consumer, or an emotional benefit, how the brand makes the consumer feel. Personally, I prefer using an emotional benefit as the basis for positioning. As Maya Angelou once said, "Someone may forget how you look, they may forget what you said, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel." Research in neuroscience actually supports this statement, as memories linked to emotion last longer and are recalled more quickly. So, by using an emotional benefit as the basis for your single most important claim, you're more likely to create a lasting impression on your target market. Finally, the positioning statement must include the reasons to believe. These are the objective support required to justify your single most important claim. They're the attributes of your branded product that support your single most important claim, like the product attributes themselves, experiences, or proven results. You must provide reasons why the consumer should believe that you will deliver on your brand promise. This is the objective support required to justify your single most important claim. Now, it's important to note that a positioning statement is not the same thing as a value proposition. A positioning statement includes that one major benefit that sets you apart from the competition, whereas a value proposition lists the range of benefits that you offer to consumers. It's also important to note that companies do not typically share their positioning statements with the public, as it's a statement of how they plan to sustain a competitive advantage in the market. Competitors might be able to deduce a brand's positioning from their marketing efforts, but this is usually not shared explicitly by the company. Another common misconception is that a tagline is a positioning statement. A tagline is a catchphrase, usually a one-liner that summarizes what your brand is about. While it may be based on elements included in a positioning statement, it's not meant to have the direct marketing activities that a positioning statement does. A tagline just reflects the benefits to be derived by using or owning the branded product. Now, when it comes to developing a positioning statement, it's important to avoid using vague words that mean so many things that they mean nothing at all. Words such as best, nice, interesting, or quality should be avoided. When defining your brand, the specific words you use must matter to consumers, and you should leave zero room for interpretation. Stick to an emotional benefit to avoid this pitfall. Finally, a positioning statement is not an ad. While it's used to create advertising, it should avoid flowery, extravagant language and overly creative language. Stick to the elements we discussed and use simple, easily understandable language. This is an internal message that must be clear and easily understood. Positioning is critical for any brand looking to cement its competitive advantage in the market. Developing a strong positioning statement requires extensive marketing research with consumers, a comprehensive assessment of the market, and a thorough analysis of the competition. A good positioning statement should include the target market, brand name, competitive frame, single most important claim, and reasons to believe. Remember to avoid vague words, and stick to an emotional benefit to make a lasting impression on your target market. Thank you for joining me for today's lecture, and I hope you found it informative and helpful. If you have any questions or would like to discuss the topic further, feel free to reach out or participate in the discussion forum. One final note is that while developing a positioning statement can be time-consuming and require significant effort, it is a crucial step in establishing a brand's identity and competitive advantage in the market. Without a clear and concise positioning statement, a brand can easily get lost in the sea of competitors and fail to differentiate itself from the rest. So, take the time to develop a strong positioning statement and reap the benefits of a successful and sustainable brand.